Test. Hello. All right, I'm sitting on some rocks next to a lake. Get some of these nice lake wave sounds. So listen, obviously the release schedule for the XO podcast has just creeped down to a halt. I mean, for a long time now. It's a very, very intermittent podcast. And it occurred to me that this episode is episode 50, so that seems like a good place to officially put this show on hiatus. But I thought I would ramble a little bit about why I kind of don't do episodes of this show as often anymore. And I think basically it's, when I was in my teens and my 20s, I thought it was extremely important to, express one's feelings. This is the way life is, this is the way things feel. I want it to be out there, either through stuff that happened to me or through different stories other people told. I thought that it was extremely important, just mostly because there was a pretty obvious kind of just sort of a feeling of sort of being closed down a little bit in the previous generation. I just look at, like my parents' generation and just see that they're kind of buttoned down and kind of unexpressive and didn't seem to be for the best. And it's like, so I don't want to be like that. And I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to talk about things that are hard or talk about things that are embarrassing. And I figured it was a valuable enough thing to do that it doesn't matter the consequences. It doesn't matter if it makes me look like some kind of big wuss. It doesn't matter if it's a recording of me just having a terrible, terrible time. It doesn't matter. It's out there. Maybe it's embarrassing a little. But there's a difference between being embarrassed and being, like, ashamed, It's like, yeah, okay, you're embarrassed and it kind of sucks, but I'm not ashamed of any of that stuff. It's like I do think I was right. I do think that's the right way to go, and the right way to be is to, keep yourself open, not to let yourself calcify. And whatever happens because of that, then that's what happens, and you move on. It's always better than, just battening down the hatches and just keeping things to yourself and just, I don't know, people can turn into real weirdos, man. Just real weird, quiet, just, their internal life just seems like so buttoned down, and it's like, dude, no, I don't want that to happen. So while I do still think I think that was the right way to go and is still the way I'm going to attempt to be, as I get older, now that I'm creeping toward the end of my 30s, just like the rhythms of life change, and just the sort of, there seems, different things seem valuable in different ways. Where, for instance, I mean, just, time dilation. Everybody knows about that. Like when you're a kid, a 15-minute recess period feels like an hour. But then once you get older, a year goes by and you barely notice. And some people think that's a bad thing, but I've actually really kind of been finding that to be a good thing, because the way that time is less important, like it doesn't matter if a year goes by, it doesn't matter if 2 years go by, it really allows for a sort of deeper level of achievement or of change to happen. Like, it's hard to write a book when you're 20, but it's not that hard to write a book when you're 40, because so what if you have to bear down on it every single day for 3 years? What's 3 years? Who gives a shit? Just do it, It doesn't feel as tough. And I noticed that also about change, because I guess, like, that's the point, right, of like, I'm gonna tell my deep dark feelings and talk about how things are hard. It's because you obviously want things to get better, you want things to change, you want to feel better. And I feel like the timeline on that has also just slowed way down and changed. My expectations have changed. Like, it used to feel more like I feel bad about this now, and I need to express it, and I need to edit it, and I need to add music, and I need it to be as clear as possible. I need to try to take that feeling and let someone else know what it was like as much as I can, because I need it to be different. I need it to change. I need someone to see it. I need someone to give a fuck. And I mean, that's one of the sort of sad realities of the world. I do still think it's good to be expressive and stuff, but at the end of the day, you're still on your own. People kind of they can't really help you that much. I mean, it's always like the first piece of advice anyone gives you if you're having a hard time is like, go talk to someone. And just, to be honest with you, that's not that helpful to me, at least the way I am. It's always got to come from inside. It's always got to be something that I sort out for myself. And that was kind of the point of doing these podcasts, is like tinkering down in the fucking lab of like, okay, here's the moment, here's the feeling, here's the way things are. Let's try to examine it and put it in this little package and make it something containable that I can understand and work on. So I think the reason I've done so few XO podcasts as the years go on, as they continue to go on, is just because it doesn't feel as valuable. Like that motive power isn't there in the same way, because this is not how change is happening for me anymore. Like this is not the method that's enacting a change and to, improve things in my life or improve things in my head. Like, to take a physical example, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago maybe, I started exercising. And I remember the first day, I was like, let's just see how many push-ups I can do. And I could do 3. It was just sad. But then, I just stuck with it. And I just wanted to hit 20 because of movies, drop and give me 20. And I did. I made it to 20. And it's like, all right, I can do 20 push-ups. And then last year, when I was in Vancouver, there was a pull-up bar near my house. And every time I tried to do a pull-up, my technique was wrong, first off, but I was just sort of trying to wrench myself upward, and that's not a good way to start. But I would pull a muscle in my neck every time. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do one pull-up. But I just kept working at it, and now I can do, not a bunch of pull-ups, but I can do some pull-ups. I can, And the latest thing is I'm passing through Toronto, just visiting on my way back home to my hometown for a bit. And there's monkey bars near where I'm staying. And I just took monkey bars for granted because as a kid, they're so easy. It's just because you have no body weight and you just fuck around on monkey bars and hang from them and do all this stuff, and it's not an issue at all. I never remember being tired out by monkey bars, where as an adult, I never would have, it makes sense, but I never would have guessed it till I tried it. It is really hard to do monkey bars as an adult because it's similar to a pull-up, except you need to support your entire body weight with one arm at a time. And I just can't. I can't do it. I can't at all. Like, as soon as I try to hang from one arm, I have to immediately let go. But that's just the next thing. I'll just work on it and work on it and work on it. And a year from now, year and a half from now, I'll be able to fucking do some monkey bars. And that's what I find is just like the more valuable thing, is to not necessarily be as directly expressive about things that are going on or things that I'm doing or what's happening in my life. It's just to let it progress, just to keep at it and keep the pressure, not a lot of pressure, but just continuous pressure, and just slowly things change. And I find that is the same for like things that are going on in my mind mentally and emotionally. So like it almost feels weird to do a podcast about like, here's how I feel right now, because it doesn't matter how I feel right now. How am I going to feel in 2 years, And there's just like this sense of stability of like whatever's happening, it doesn't feel like a big deal like it maybe once would have felt, because I have got these experiences now of knowing that in a year it's going to be different, in 2 years it's going to be different. It's just going to keep progressing. So this episode is a perfect example of this phenomenon. It's about this girl, Kara, from the West Coast, and just an episode about her. But I decided to split this up. There's this intro part, and then that'll be its own standalone podcast, part A and part B, because the intro that I recorded of like 2 years ago, it really got kind of it wasn't about her at all. It just was about me, and it was about trying to give up looking at porn, which is kind of like the monkey bars. You never know how hard it is till you try. Like, I'd never, ever in my life probably gone a day. If I ever went a day, it was extremely rare of not looking at porn. And then when I tried it, it was like immediately obvious that it was better, that even just your hormone balance in your body and stuff, like I just felt way better. But it was also super crazy hard. Very, very difficult. So this intro I recorded in the dead of winter while I was like months deep into trying to curb my pornography addiction, and it was just so demoralizing because I was making no progress. Zero. Like, just it seemed like every day it was just this struggle that was getting me nowhere, and it's this like so hopeless feeling. It's like, can I really not do anything about this? I can't even improve? Like, what the fuck is going on? Terrible, terrible feeling. But I never released this episode because I was already getting an inkling of like that this isn't what I want to express. This isn't the valuable part of this, just to say, oh man, this sucks. This isn't the end of the story. This isn't the story even, you know? And it was a literal year after I started trying to give up porn. I know it was a year because I started on New Year's as a New Year's resolution. So I knew when a year was up, and it was amazing. Just like, not exactly on the day, but right around a year, I just turned a corner. Like something very fundamental just shifted in my mind. And it's not like I'm just cured. I mean, I still look at porn all the time. I looked at porn today, but I'll explain a little bit, I guess, about how things have changed. But just that suddenly I didn't feel hopeless anymore. I felt like, whoa, like I'm much, much better now. Things have changed in my mind or in my physiology or just even in what my brain expects day to day. And I just don't feel like tortured or fucking yanked down by this addictive feeling like I did. But it took a whole year to feel the difference. And it didn't feel like a tiny incremental change. It really felt like a sea change, but it took a year of fighting through this feeling of hopelessness to get there. And I think that was my first actual, like, really big example of what I'm talking about. And then I've been noticing it a lot, just all different facets of my life. But just this is the way change is going to happen now, is fucking stick with it. Just stick with it on a consistent, long-term basis. And the next thing you know, it's 2 years later, it's 3 years later, and you're just different. You're just not the same as you used to be. And it's a less immediately expressive process. So I still think it's important to be expressive and be open, but in a different way. Like, it's just taken on a different timbre. And I mean, maybe this is what I was seeing in my parents that I interpreted as being closed off. I don't think so. I think this is still a different thing, but yeah, it is though more of a, I'm gonna kind of keep this to myself, be open to myself, but not as open just to the world. Like, it just doesn't seem as important to outwardly express all this stuff, because it's like I know I got it, you know, in myself. I got it. It's going to work out. It's going to be fine, but it's going to take a long time. So I'll just do that on my own, and I'll just handle it on my own. Like this porn thing. I mean, it was also just hard to talk about. It's always hard to talk about. It's still somewhat hard to talk about, but it was much harder to talk about at the time that I recorded this intro I'm going to play. But it's just, I don't know, it's weird because it's like, it's such a personal thing. It is, I guess, kind of embarrassing, and it's something people don't talk about a lot. It's starting to come out more, that people are recognizing this, and it really is just like, okay, so I guess I'll walk you through briefly. So where I'm at now, like, I've been staying at these different Airbnbs around Toronto, and just every week I go to a different one, and a couple of them didn't have Wi-Fi. And during those weeks, that for a week I didn't have Wi-Fi, I didn't look at porn at all, and it really wasn't hard to do. And like, that's miraculous. It's fucking amazing. It's like, wow, like I did it. In a sense, if I lived in an internet-free world, I'm cured. But once I have Wi-Fi again, and you're just one step away from porn all the time, it took a long time for me to kind of, I'm kind of still trying to find, like, water finds its level. Like, I can't just resist it. I just can't. It's not realistic at this point. Maybe down the road, but it's just, it's not. It just is this guilt cycle of like when you're literally just one step away all the time. Like, that is crazy. That is a crazy amount of. And it's like if an alcoholic had a fucking glass of beer hovering in front of their face all day, magic Harry Potter beer that's tipped, so that it just needs the tiniest nudge and beer will flow into their mouth. That's what it's like. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? It's ludicrous. So at this point, I'm kind of finding, like, at least some kind of, not happy middle, I don't know, just like compromise of, because it's not just porn, it's the kind of porn, like the endlessness of porn and just the intensity of internet porn and the types of porn that are on the net. It's not the same as it used to be. Like, when you used to have to go buy a magazine from a fucking store, there were so many barriers. There's the social barrier, there's the physical barrier of having to actually go get it, there's the monetary barrier, and then there's the fact that once you get it, it's not even that, it's fairly innocuous. It's like a porn mag. It seems so quaint by modern standards. Like, everything, this is like the crack cocaine of porn is the age we live in now. It's fucking bananas. It's so much and just so intense and so available and so endless. And it's just like, fuck. So, yeah, the process is still ongoing. But man, it was such a difficult and, like, frankly, like, sad process. Like, anyone that questions whether or not this is an addiction, this shit is an addiction, man. It is, absolutely. So I had all this porn saved on my computer, and I think I was doing a thing of just, like, these weird baby steps of, like, all right, I'm gonna go through all these pictures, these thousands of pictures, but I'm gonna delete them as I go. And then slowly, I'll go through them till they're all gone. But then I'd get to a picture that it's like, well, I'm not going to delete that one. Maybe on the next round through, I'll delete that one. And it was just, it was like, it was never going to end. I was never going to get through these things. It would take me my lifetime. I would just be trapped in that limbo forever. So I finally just deleted them all. And fucking empty the recycle bin, and that's that. But that wasn't that, because that was like my super hand-picked, perfectly curated, like, best ever, super, porn that just fired up my little neurons in my brain. And so it was so bad that, like, I couldn't even, like, going on the internet and looking at more porn, it wasn't good enough. Like, I had everything laid out and set up, and it could hit me at such a pace and just such the perfect porn that I wanted, that even just, like, now what website do I go to? And I'm clicking through stuff, and these aren't all quite what I wanted, and it's just like this, like, my junky self wasn't being fed. So I got this fucking program. I don't remember what it's called anymore, but it's like an undeletion program that you could just pick all the images that are on your hard drive that are just, floating around, that have been deleted but haven't been overwritten yet, and bring them all back. But it was very indiscriminate. It would bring back everything, even if it was like a corrupted file. And 95% of these things, like, they looked like an image file, but they wouldn't work. And then I just had, like, literally 10 or 20,000 of these things. And I'm just, like, going through them with this little, just, like, error. Every 19th or 20th one would be a picture. Error. And that was just, like, such misery. Like, what the fuck am I doing? What is this? But that still seemed better than the alternative of not having my porn back at all. At least I had a bit of it. And it's just like, fuck my life. Fuck me. Why does this suck so bad? Why is this so hard to do? So that's kind of the place I was at when I recorded this intro that I'm about to play. But yeah, like I said, a year in, a big shift. Now it's probably a year since then, and now I'm kind of making like it's now I guess it's nice because in a way it's like things are rolling back where I don't feel like I even have to just quit porn. I mean, like, as a way to express, like, it's part of expression, I guess. I want to express the feelings in me. I want to express the hormones in me. It's like, yeah, I'm a dude. Look at this. It's porn. It doesn't have to be so awful. But when you get buried under it for fucking 25 years, it's pretty awful. Probably more than 25 years, 30 years? I don't know. A long time. So the story goes on, and who knows, maybe I'll talk about it again, in many years from now when I've got more to say and more in something helpful to recount or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of what this episode is the actual episode is about this girl, Kara, and just her YouTube page and how YouTube has been a great way to commiserate with people about things without actually having to go talk to direct people, because like I said, I mean, that just never works for me. It just never works. Like, actual let's go discuss things. It's I need it takes a lot longer for me, and it's a slow, gradual process, and it's all got to happen internally. Internally is where the fucking furnace is. It's where the fucking coal gets pressed down into a diamond. So that's episode 50 of EXO. This will be that intro that I recorded a couple of years ago, and then as a separate file, the actual episode about Karakamos. I just, I wanted to split them up because really the intro and the show are just so two different things. They're just really, it's not an intro to that show anymore. It's its whole own thing. But there we go. That's what I'm thinking these days. Sorry if the sound quality kind of sucked, but I mean, this is real nice for me. Sitting on a rock, sun's going down, watching the waves, feeling the wind. Fucking, it's Canadian as shit right now. Okay, so I'm going to go. Thank you for listening, everyone. It has been a pretty sweet 50 episodes. I'm pretty goddamn proud of this show. And for those who liked it, thank you very much. Not to say there will never be another episode, but, just don't hold your breath. No big hurry. Eventually. One of these days. All right, let us time warp 2 years back to the old intro. Let's play a sad song. Let's play a sad song to guide us in. This is from Hannah Georgis's latest album, Evelyn, and it's a song called Walls, and it's real, real good.
It's too easy to give in these days. It's too easy to blend into the gray. When I build these walls, I build them so high, I build them so high. It's too easy to walk away. So easy when you have a high tolerance for pain. behind.
Hi, welcome to XO. So my 2014 has ended spectacularly terribly. It has been a bad time. I've been living by myself and really just having some big time isolation time that I haven't had in a long time. It's been like 10 years since I lived by myself, and I don't know, it's a weird thing. It's like, I guess changing how you are, it's painful. It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easy. And it's a weird thing for all the bad times that I've had. Like, I wouldn't want to take any of them back, even though they really suck as they're happening. Like, I look at all the changes that have happened because of really focusing on myself and trying to figure out what's wrong in my life and how to self-improve. And in a way, I guess, and it's only been about 4 months, I've kind of covered a lot of ground. It's like I started exercising, I started eating better, I learned about meditation, I learned about praying. And then some really big ones were coming to terms with the kind of relationship I've developed in my mind about men and women and how unbalanced my thinking was, and that led me to give up pornography, which really was amazing for helping me clear my head, but then really just was one of the last foundations of whatever old weird, the old rotten framework or whatever that was holding up my self-image. I don't know, I guess it's like a midlife crisis or a nervous breakdown, or I'm glad that I feel like I'm becoming a much better person, but I just feel so bad about how many problems I seem to have, And I think, it just kind of seems like I can't believe I'm waking up feeling bad again. What is the next lesson? What is the next thing I need to learn? How deep down is this going to go? When is this going to stop? But on the other hand, this is only for now. This is only, again, I wouldn't want to give any of this stuff up. I'm really proud of all the stuff I've figured out about myself, and I really do feel like I'm becoming a much better, more self-aware person. And I guess it's naive to think I'll just start to feel better soon, because it hasn't happened yet. All this other stuff has, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's clear that I'm on the right path and I'm going the right way and things are improving, but I still feel bad. But the point of all that is to say that things have been pretty bad for pretty long. And I basically cry every day. So it's not really a question of am I going to cry today? It's what is going to make me cry today? So there's this one video I found on YouTube that stands out a lot because I saw it on Christmas. I was house sitting for my friend Matt, who went back home for Christmas, and I didn't. I stayed in Toronto. But everyone else was gone, back to their houses and families for Christmas. And it could have been a lot worse. If I was just in my weird little basement apartment, it would have sucked a lot more. So at least I was in Matt's cool apartment with his big windows, and it was a nice sunny day. It was actually pretty cool. But it was still Christmas by myself. I was going to head out and do stuff later in the day, but for that first half, it was just me. And I don't remember exactly how I found this video, but YouTube has been a big part of this whole process. Like, just the amount of information available from just people talking, just doing vlogs, just talking to a camera. It's really pretty unbelievable. Like, I'll do it pretty regularly where I just go to YouTube and I just type a word. You know, it might be loneliness or resentment, or my last episode was about feminism. Just recently I looked up nursing homes and found a bunch of vlogs by registered nurses that they all just kind of discuss their lives and what it's like. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like, you can just get all these little cross sections of different people's lives who are in nursing. Like, it's a pretty amazing time that we're in. So I don't remember exactly how I found this video, but it was weird because I woke up that morning and I did a bunch of exercise in front of the great big windows at Matt's place as the sun came up, and it was all cool. And I was listening to some YouTube talk about some business guy, you know, talking about the methods of success or something, like not something that really relates to me in particular, but just kind of a nice, you know, inspirational type of thing to listen to. But I really can just be knocked down with a feather. Like, I have no emotional stability at all. So I watched this video by this girl, Kara, called On Being Ugly. And it's actually, I think, a fairly positive video. She's really seems like a fairly strong person, just talking about how she feels about how she looks. But I just put my head in my hands and just cried and cried and cried. But then on top of the video itself, she did a follow-up video and talked about how crazy the phenomenon of that video was, that she had done about 20 videos on YouTube and had very few viewers, like a handful. But one of them posted that video on Facebook, and from there it spread, and now it has almost 500,000 views. And I just think that's so amazing. Like it's funny that the video is called On Being Ugly, because it is such a beautiful video, and it's such a great example of this age that we live in. Like, I went back and watched all of Kara's videos, and that's what this episode is going to be about. And she talks a lot about, sort of similar to what I was saying about YouTube and how much she watches it, and all the different YouTubers that she likes. And in particular, what a strong female presence there is on YouTube, and just how open people are about talking about so many different issues. And just all this stuff that would not be easily accessible at all in the pre-internet days. And it just really gives me a lot of hope and like a lot of faith for the future. Like, maybe it was almost unrealistic to expect society to be better than it was, because how could it be? How could people connect? How could people learn when they were being just blocked off at all sides, where now everything is so open? And if you want to learn about feminism, you can type feminism and you can learn all about it. If you want to learn about pornography addiction, you can type pornography addiction and you can learn all about it. Like, it's amazing. All this stuff that would have been like these impossible mountains to climb. I mean, now it's something that you can just do, you know? The amount of stuff that I learned and the amount of progress I made just sitting in my weird basement apartment with learning from people on YouTube, it's crazy. So I think it's so neat that Kara became a part of that, you know? She was just doing these videos because she loved other people's YouTube videos, and she just wanted to express herself. And just through the weird magic of this age that we're in, this video got seen 500,000 times. And some of the other videos are, I think, easily as good, maybe even better. just today I was working on this episode and I was just at a 24-hour Tim Hortons. And I watched her video called Naked Thoughts that's about being in the shower and just having all these memories of embarrassing and shameful times in your life coming back to you. And they were like all these tough construction worker looking guys sitting near me. And I had to pull my hood up just so they wouldn't see me tearing up because it's so sad and so awesome. And I just love that idea too. Like, even if there had never been this one video that got all these views and that made this like impact in the world, just the act of trying to express yourself and trying to talk about your life, I respect so much. I mean, that's what I've always tried to do with podcasts. I've always tried to be as honest as I could for, better or worse. And it's hard to say how much it matters. I remember I got an email. It was about episode 3 of this podcast, so that was a long time ago. But it was an episode I did about different ways that the world could end. And somebody sent me an email saying that listening to that episode helped them decide not to kill themselves. And I don't know who that person was, and I never heard from them again. And like I said, that was a long time ago. And I like to think that something else would have convinced them not to kill themselves. Or maybe they would have just decided not to anyway. But what if, what if? That seems too amazing to even be real, that could really... that something I did could have helped someone like that. But even if not for that, even if I didn't have that one podcast that helped that guy, even if Kara didn't have that one YouTube video that all those people saw, there's still a value even just to us, to the author of doing this stuff, of trying to explain. Because I think that's kind of fundamentally what we're doing here, by expressing ourselves. Maybe no one will really care, but there's that hope that maybe someone will, maybe it will reach somebody, maybe it will help. And I think just by coming from that perspective, it helps us too. Definitely in this last 4 months, I don't think I would have made all the progress that I made if I wasn't making podcasts the whole time. I started doing this podcast called 7 Days, where every week I just pick a different activity, and it could just be watch 7 movies or just talk about 7 songs that I like. But just by that process of just trying to explain what I was up to that week, all kinds of stuff came out of that, all kinds of weird things that I found out about myself or that I don't know that I would have understood as clearly. Anyway, it's at keithcourage.com if you want to hear it. But I guess mainly what I want to say with this intro is just I want to thank this girl, Kara, for just doing these YouTube videos that she made, and everybody on YouTube. Just want to thank everybody for trying to express themselves and trying to help. Because it really does help. It might not be quite the same as reaching out your actual hand and having someone actually there. That's obviously important too, but just the virtual hand is also hugely important, and just the amount of topics and the amount of information and the amount of stuff. How would I ever talk to someone in my life about a pornography addiction? How would I ever have the bravery to do that? I never would. But when you can find other people online and start to learn about it that way, and now it doesn't seem nearly as insurmountable. I can talk about it for example, which I wouldn't have done before. So here are some clips from the different videos of Kara Kamos, Karakamos on YouTube. I hope you like them.
So when the saints go marching in, they won't be singing for your sins. They just hope to help you learn something, living and breathing. Everybody dies with a debt, no silence, watching this is how we live. Take it or leave it, don't waste your breath. I clear my mind, deny real life, define here. Without borders, possession or enemies. Everybody dies with a debt. We all die for our life. What we fear we will only forget. Or confess to a God that we know we only hear in ourselves. Border is up, let your problem distill. Forget your dreams or fulfill them. Leave no trace, waste away. It's time for change. So when the saints go marching in, they won't be singing for your sins. They just hope to help you learn something, living and breathing. Forwards in this prison, but I can still see the river. Forwards in this prison, lies to poison your decision. Life, take notes. Don't ignore it, now you know. I saved my soul, I sold it to the open road. I found hope in the wreckage of progress. Trophies shatter and state. Vessel to be broken, a light burning over your name. I saved my soul, but I never say I wasn't a culprit. Never say I wasn't deceived. Just trying to rewrite the wrongs that were right out on me. Everybody dies with a debt. We all die for our lives. What we feel we will only forget. Or confess to a God that we know we only hear in ourselves. So when the saints go marching in, they won't be singing for your sins. They just hope to help you learn something, living and breathing.